and welcome. You're watching Medically Speaking with me, Meenakshi, Upreti on NewsX, and I'm being joined by Dr. Jaswant Jangra. He's a psychiatrist from AIM. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for joining us on NewsX. My very first question. Last month was Mental Health Awareness Month. Why do we need awareness around mental health? Why is it so significant to take care of our mental health, especially in a post-COVID period?
Thank you, Upreti, and thank you for uh, like uh, giving me the opportunity to speak up on mental health issue. Uh, every year we need to speak up and we need to organize programs for mental health awareness because even in today's era, it's 2022 and still majority of the people in the society, mainly in Indian society, they would think of the mental health that mental issues that the one person is making excuses if someone has any mental issues, or they think that the person is weak or the person is insane. So there are so many misconceptions about mental health. It directly affects the economy, and it affects the economy in a greater extent than which is estimated through studies, because even till now the studies, the surveys which have been done, these couldn't cover all the people. However, the estimated loss of GDP, that would be far greater. So if mental health of the people would be great, definitely it will boost our economy. It will help us functioning better. It will just push our nation ahead.
Hmm.
So in India, especially once our budget for mental health is a little bit lower, on the lower side. So I don't say that the awareness must be increased in the villages or in the less educated people, but even in higher educated people and even in the cities, metros, I would say that the people still they have a lot of misbeliefs regarding mental health issues.
Hmm.
So they need
So,
to be aware. Yeah.
right. You say misconceptions around mental health still exist, despite of us being, of course, in this new age era and century, despite of there being so many programs, even celebrities coming out and speaking about mental health vociferously. So one more question. You touched upon the policy makers, the low budget. What do you think needs to be done from the side of the government as well? Because if you look at other issues, say breast cancer awareness, because it was breast cancer awareness month simultaneously, there's a lot of awareness around the same because of the government initiative. How important is this initiative by the policymakers, and what are the lacunas, and what do you think needs to be done?
Yeah, first thing is about funding, because the percentage of the health budget, I would say the health budget is 2.2% of this year, last financial year. So the health budget is already low in our country, and I wouldn't point out finger on any particular government, but persistently all the governments has they have kept it lower. So our policymakers, mainly the bureaucrats, I would say, so they need to push more for the health budget. Second thing, majority of health budget is allocated to the major mental hospitals, mainly in Nimhans, which is situated in the Bengaluru, and for the Tejpur hospital, which is also situated in the Assam, and CIP Rachi. So we need to allocate budget which can be that we can disseminate the services to the grassroots level, and to we can reach more and more people.
Correct.
So the policymakers still they need to think I would just cite an example of 2 years back, that one of the very senior bureaucrat who was a who also worked in health ministry, who told that मतलब ये mental health क्या होता है, मतलब psychiatry, what is psychiatry, and why the mental health is important. So he was so unaware of the mental health. How can we expect the other policymakers to be aware of it? I won't name
Absolutely.
of that.
I think it's
Yeah.
an eye-opening testament you've given without taking names. End of the day,
Yeah.
bureaucrats are oblivious of the significance, importance of mental health. How will the common man really know and speak about it? one aspect is
Yeah.
awareness and the other aspect is sharing, because in mental health a lot of your recovery also depends on opening up and sharing. Sometimes we see that there's a lot of stigma attached around the same. How do you think we do away with it as a society?
Yeah. That I would cite another example from one of my patient. She is an uneducated female. She is 45-year-old from distant village of Bihar, and she had an illness of OCD, like dirt and contamination. So she would wash her hand, she would wash everything repeatedly, and like her majority of the time would be wasted in like just washing things and cleaning things. So like she had no clue why this is happening to her. She didn't want to do all this, but then like she came to our OPD and she got treated, and now she is doing amazing. Like she could finish her task. Like and earlier she had to like remain awake till 1 a.m. in the night, and now she finishes all the tasks by 6 p.m. in the evening. So like her neighbors and her relatives, they also saw this, that there is significant improvement in the functioning. So they asked, and one of her relatives, she also had OCD. So then she contacted her that how did you improve yourself? And like just by sharing things, like she involved her relative into the treatment, and her relative is also doing great nowadays. So
And
sharing things. Yeah.
yes, you said sharing is very important, and I think you've also busted another myth by this story, which is which many feel that mental illness is it's a disease of the rich. It's a disease of those living in tier 1 cities, living in their ivory towers, have nothing to do. It's a disease which sort of culminates out of boredom as well. Tell us really what are the myths around mental illness, and also help them bust the same.
Yeah, the first myth is like the people with mental health issues are weak. uh, in mental health issues at times the confidence decreases, but it's not that they are weak. At times the stresses are more, at times the genetic makeup of the particular person's brain is like that. But like once they get help, they can do far better than like even their colleagues and other people. So it's not that they are weak, it's that they are just ill. And after treatment, like a person with tuberculosis, we understand tuberculosis nowadays. So a person with tuberculosis, we won't say that the person with tuberculosis is weak physically, because he is just having an illness. Once the illness is treated, he would be physically strong. The same
Hmm.
applies to mental health. Like the person is suffering from any mental illness, he's not mentally weak. He is suffering from an illness which once which is treated, the person would be equally strong and equally functional. The second myth is the person would be insane, and it won't be appropriate to talk to that particular person. And like it won't be appropriate to have a communication with that particular person. So like majority of mental illness, in that like the patient have like intact capacity, like they can think of unforeseen circumstances, they can communicate about their feelings. There are, well, majority of mental illnesses are like that, barring a few.
Hmm.
So well, in majority of mental illnesses, we need not to get afraid of the patients. We can speak to them. We can like understand their feelings.
Yeah.
So that is needed here. And another is like in our family or in other in office area, working areas. Often we think that the person is making excuses of not doing work properly, mainly the like in the office
Yes.
areas and also in the, yeah. So it's not like that, because at times, like if the colleagues and like family members, if they provide adequate support to the person, so if they empathize with the person, then they definitely the functioning would improve. Because if
Right.
we criticize them uh, excessively, so
Correct.
criticism always decreases the performance and it aggravates the mental health issues.
So you
So
rightly
these are
said,
the
sir,
main.
end of the day, empathy very important. As we close the show,
Yeah.
any message you'd like to give the people who are watching the show, especially those who are around a person who's suffering with mental illness, because that support, as you rightly said, is also very important.
Yeah. So the important message is that like first try to find out that, yeah, there is some issue in the mental health of a person. And so first try to identify that. And second, like there are a lot of mental health institutions around in the India. So I would suggest the people to bring the person who is in need to that particular hospital for the treatment. So the treatment may be initiated at the earlier stage. So earlier the treatment is initiated, there would be like better functioning of that particular person, of the patient, and also it would be great for the family members or the relatives, because they would also be happy with that person.
Well, rightly said, and of course, very, very simply explained for the layman, for the viewers as well. It was a freewheeling conversation. Of course, we didn't dive into the technical aspects, the treatment, etc., because the idea really was to create some simple and basic awareness around mental illness. For now, sir, thank you for joining us on NewsX and, of course, talking to us about this extremely pertinent issue. It's been a rather riveting discussion. I thank you for joining us on NewsX. On the other side, of course, we will interview another psychiatrist who will throw more light when we speak of the treatment of mental illnesses and mental health.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.